No.
No,
we're all good. All good to go.
Okay.
So welcome everybody to our first meeting in 2022. We thought that as our first meeting, and we've got quite a few new faces, it would be nice just to go around the room very quickly. No pressure if you don't want to. Say who you are, what you do for a living, if you'd like to, if you're a therapist, or if you just want to say hi, that's absolutely fine. It's just a good opportunity, as it's our first meeting of the year, to just have a quick who's who, which is always lovely. So Karen, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Okay, hi, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Karen, and let Rosemary in, sorry. And I'm half of Soul Solutions with Suzanne, and we've known each other for about 15 years or something like that. We're both therapists, so I do energy therapies and coaching and healing and all sorts of things for over 20 years now, and workshops as well. And that's me. Suzanne?
Probably very similar to you. I'm an energy therapist. I'm working mostly online at the moment. I do teach groups in person and online, and I run training for healing. Various bits and pieces. As Karen said, we've run this together for nearly the whole of this crazy time, and it's been a godsend just to provide a space for people to come and meet like-minded people, gives the people in the group the opportunity to speak if they'd like to, and just create a community to keep us all supported through these times. So who would like? So I'm going to go across as I can see you on my screen. So Natalia.
I'm listening with one of you.
Oh, sorry, just who you are. If you want to bypass, that's absolutely fine.
I'm financial analyst since I know body talk and people feeling and honey. So that's my interests, and I practice on my son.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Faye.
Hello there. I'm Faye. My day job, I'm head of communications, so do web development, build websites, oversee social media campaigns, and then by nighttime, I do soul contract readings, divine healing, tarot, and Mahani. That's it, really.
Thank you very much. Terry?
Hi, I'm Marianne. I am from London. I am a energy practitioner. I have a company called Living Beyond Mind. I am energy healing, theta healing, divine healing master keys, and access consciousness. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Marianne.
Terry?
Me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Yes,
Year.
I'm Cherry Emery, and I do healing, exorcism, clear haunted houses, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, specialise in past life regressions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary.
Mandy?
Hi, I'm a reflexologist and Reiki person and Rahani person. Not currently working at the moment, but hope to be soon. That's me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to just hear everybody speak. It's lovely. Laureen?
Am I muted?
Yeah,
Come on, if I'm muting myself again. Hi, I'm Laureen. I am a food safety manager by day, and I don't do any healing or anything like that with everybody else. I kind of part of the group from having worked with Karen.
Lovely, thanks
you. Lorraine.
Lovely to have you there. And Julia. Oh, sorry. one, Harry.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a yoga therapist, mindfulness practitioner, and Ayurveda consultant, specializing in lifestyle and nutrition and herbs for health.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julia.
Tara.
It's always trying to find the mute button really quick. Hello, lovely to see you all. I haven't been here in so long. It's so exciting to be here tonight. So I'm Tara, I'm a reflexologist, healer, do gong baths and all lots of different things. So lovely to be here. Thank you.
And run lots of your own groups.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maxine?
Hello, I'm Maxine. I run Seal Natural Health near Farnham. I rent out rooms to therapists. I teach Reiki courses and I run an online Lemurian crystal attunement course, and various other things. Good evening.
Thank you. Susie?
Hi there, I'm an EFT talk therapist, Reiki practitioner, and I'm really interested about tonight because I've seen Christine at the Heart and Soul before. I've heard her talk before, so really excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sue?
Hello, I'm moving from being an accountant, and so for the last 8 years, whilst I've been an accountant, I've been training. So I've trained as an NLP practitioner. Still haven't started really using it. So this is my aim now to move into very shortly. An NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist. I've done learned Rahani. I'm a divine healer, and I'm training and nearly to the end of my training with Body Talk. So my plan, yeah, soon.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you. Harry? Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, your sound.
You hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Ah, perfect. Hi, I'm Harry. Nice to meet you all. I've been invited here by Faye today just to attend some of the astrology talks and stuff. Really into astrology and tarot, energy healing. And yeah, I work in IT during the day. So yeah, it's nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being
Thank you, Harry.
Christine?
Hi, I'm Christine. A little bit like Julia, I'm a yoga therapist. I specialize in backs, but I also incorporate Ayurveda and mindfulness. I'm a Reiki practitioner and dabble in a few other things too. So very lovely to be here tonight, joining you all and to hear from Christine on astrology. So thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And Valerie?
Hiya.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I'm Val. I am a soul contract reading practitioner for birth readings, relationship readings, professional readings for businesses. I also practice Reiki, Rahani, and divine healing. And 4 days a week I'm in recruitment, but 1 day a week I do my crazy woo-woo stuff that I love. And I can't wait to hear more from Christine and her husband, because I had a reading with her, which was excellent. So I'm just excited.
Fabulous. And you are the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
The cats come to every session.
Yeah.
Thanks, Val. Caroline?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Don't know if it's a bit late, 17th, but anyway, hi. I'm Caroline. I am a body talk practitioner, and I also have lots of other things in my toolbox. Just recently finished divine healing, and I've been practicing for 8 years. So that's it.
Thank you.
I'm very excited about tonight.
Yay, we are too.
Yes.
Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm in Australia. I am a mindset and stress transformation coach. My expertise is mindset, so I use Psych K and another modality called PERC. I am also, same as most others, I'm an energy healer, so I'm a Reiki master and all those kinds of things, touch of health kinesiology, basically the holistic package. So very similar to many others.
Thank you, Kim.
Lovely, thank you. Karen, can I turn it over to you? I need to go and let Maddie in.
Yes.
Carry on. I've got Tana, Rosemary and Gabriel left.
That's fine. So yeah, Tana, do you like to introduce yourself? Oh, have you already done, Tana?
No, where's my...
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't on mute. Hi, I'm Tana. I would call a retired therapist now, but I'm a volunteer healer at the Harry Edwards Sanctuary, and I just love listening to all these talks enjoyable talks you have. So lovely to see everybody.
Thank you, Tana. Thank you. And Rosemary?
Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Rosemary Shaughnessy, and what I do is for health and wellness and professionals. I design WordPress websites, manage them, and I also simplify the online world. And because obviously most therapists didn't sign up to run websites, etc., I help you there, and also all the things that go along with websites, etc. So I'm looking forward to the presentation this evening.
And I think myself and Suzanne can thoroughly recommend Rosemary for your IT needs. If you're a therapist, she's brilliant. So
thank you very much. Appreciate it, and likewise.
And Gabrielle?
Hi everyone, I'm Gabrielle. I practice and teach a variety of energy healing modalities, angelic Reiki, colour therapy and dowsing techniques, and I run the Karana Centre in Ardingly.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I think that's everyone.
Yeah, well done everybody for popping on, put you all on the spot, but sometimes that's better just to do it last minute so that everybody doesn't get too nervous. So thank you everybody for saying a few words, and I'll pass it over to you, Karen, to introduce the lovely people waiting in the wings.
Okay, so we're very excited to introduce Christine and Alan. Christine is an astrologer and she does Bach flower remedies, and Alan is a numerologist. So we figured that the beginning of 2022 would be a really good time to invite them on. We've had Christine on before doing astrology. So they're going to talk about 2022 and what's in store. So I will pass on over to you, Christine and Alan. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, lovely. It's lovely to hear all the wonderful things that you do in this group. It's just an endless collection of amazing things. So brilliant. Well done, all of you. Yeah, so I do mostly astrology. I do tarot as well, and the flower essences. And yeah, I think my main work with astrology is to help people understand themselves through their personal birth charts, so they can get to know their potentials, their weaknesses, and understand also the timing, the best time when to do things, which is, you know, I think we'd all agree, really important. So we looked at the start of this year, and I think we all kind of feel this excitement that something has shifted. There is something new, and obviously Alan will tell us about the numbers in a minute and the astrology, and we're going to kind of interact a bit together because we did our notes and realized that quite a lot of the same things are coming out, which we would expect, you know, from the astrology and the numerology. I'll just let you introduce yourself a little bit first, so
yeah,
they know who they are.
I'm Alan, and I've studied astrology too. I did the White Eagle course and numerology, and they work very well together. Each planet has according to the rule of Pythagoras, each planet has a numerical vibration. So the two work together, and we're going to be sort of switching across from one to the other because they're very compatible, really.
Yeah, so we wanted to look at the chart for 2022 because each year at New Year's Day, just after midnight, you can draw up a new chart. We do it for London, just because, you know, Westminster and London, and to see the kind of flavour of the year ahead. And been doing this for years, really, just to see kind of what's going on. And we thought, rather than just launching straight into 2022, it would be good to look at 2020, which was obviously the start of this decade, and just to kind of go back and it was actually, I haven't really looked at that chart for a while, and I was quite surprised to see how it exactly has been as it shows in the chart, although at that time we didn't really know how it would be. Although I think, because I don't know if any of you do follow astrology, but 2020 heralded this conjunction coming together of the planets Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and astrologers had looked at this combination for decades and said this 2020 is going to be a big year. There's going to be massive upheaval, political upheaval, financial upheaval. A couple of astrologers did predict a pandemic, but you know, it's hard to kind of know. I think we all knew that globally something massive would be happening, and because the nature of the planets and the nature of the sign of Capricorn, we kind of guessed that it would be something to do with governments, control, authority, and this massive kind of change. So you know, we looked at that for that year. And then another thing that struck us was Neptune, the planet Neptune, which is linked with spirituality, but it's also linked with confusion, deceit, deception, and similar things, has been in Pisces for quite a long time now. And for that chart in 2020, on the 1st of January, it was exactly conjunct the moon. And the moon in these charts represents the people. So we looked at Neptune with the moon in Pisces and felt, you know, this is mass hypnosis, mass deception, which obviously now we know this was the beginning of that was going on.
There is a high side to Neptune in Pisces and the moon in Pisces, and it's a spiritual awakening. If one can see through the fog. And there's a 2020, we looked at that because the first year in any decade sets the tone for the decade. And the last decade that resonated with 4, so 2020 adds up to 4. There's 2 tools which we'll come to in a minute. The 2s are about the moon. So we've got the moon conjunct Neptune in the 6th house, which is about work, but it's also the house of magic. So what we're entering on 2020 was a decade of a potential big leap in consciousness. And I'll come to it later in the little bit I'm going to talk about. There's 3 ways to look at numerology. One is, what does the year mean to you as an individual? And for that, it's helpful to know what your ruling numbers are. And then what the year means collectively, and then how the year fits into the grand plan. So there's a wave of evolution of consciousness. So where does it fit in that? So we'll have a look at that a little bit later. But there are 2 sides to Neptune in Pisces. One is the lower frequency, which can manipulate people.
But as you say, it's also a wonderful opportunity for the awakening and the spiritual connection, and to connect with our soul purpose. But we don't spend too much time on 2020, although it is important for the decade. But if you'll remember, a lot of the days that when we had lockdowns and things were actually all chosen. The very first lockdown was on the solstice, the equinox, spring equinox in March. You know, so it's interesting that these powerful days were chosen. And then the next lockdown in 2020 was on the 5th of November, which has a significance.
The gunpowder
revolution.
Comes to mind.
And even going as far as the first vaccination, which Alan will talk a little bit about later. You know, these dates and times were all chosen. So it does make you wonder who's actually looking at those things when, you know, all these kind of announcements and so on come out.
Brexit happened.
Brexit,
on the
yeah, 20, yes, yes.
31st of January 2020. So right in the beginning of the decade, we had Brexit as well. So
yeah,
some big events that went straight into the collective consciousness happened in 2020. So that set the tone.
Yeah.
So we're really now looking at 2022.
Yeah, and so again, the chart's drawn up for the 1st of January, just after midnight. And because the sun is always in Capricorn at that time, obviously that always remains the same. There's still a lot of kind of Capricorn energy. So there's still this kind of fight against authority and the controlling authority, although other planets have moved on. And Jupiter, which is one of the planets that we're really looking at the moment, Jupiter is meant to be the kind of benefactor, the lucky planet. That's now moved into Pisces. So we've got Jupiter having joined Pisces, although they're not close together yet, but they will be. And so I think that's the kind of shift that a lot of people felt, you know, it almost has moved into a different kind of energy that we can connect maybe more with the positive side of Pisces. And another pointer that was really important, we thought, was the moon, again, the people, was very close to Mars, which is energy, action, and they're both in Sagittarius in the 3rd house of the chart, which is all about the mind, thinking, communication. And Sagittarius is the sign of freedom. And I think looking at those two planets together, there's this kind of flavor that people just had enough of all of this, as we all have, no doubt, and they want to find the truth. Sagittarius is the sign, and it's ruled by Jupiter. It's the sign that seeks the truth and wants to find out, you know, what's actually happened over the last 2 years and where we're going now. So I think that's really important. And although, you know, this restriction and authority and passports and all this stuff is still hanging around, but maybe, you know, things will change. You know, we look at it and think, well, is this going to happen? Is there going to be a U-turn? Is there going to be a change? And just in the last few weeks, of course, there's been so much happening. And a lot of people have really just said, well, you know, we're not doing it anymore. So, you know, we've just had enough. So it's quite interesting from that point of view, what's going on there. But I think the main positive side of Pisces and Jupiter is that we can use this year to heal the divide. You know, there's been such a divide between families, communities, you know, and now we maybe can have the freedom to speak our truths. I mean, I felt truth was a big word for this year, and that's come up in the numbers as well, that we can find our truth, we can speak our truth, and we can use our freedom now to the full. You know, how can we do it? What can we do? I think we all have to do what we can do best in our own capacity. You know, in Neptune, Jupiter and Pisces, it's all about empathy, compassion, forgiveness, you know, that we could use in our communities. Unfortunately, again, the downside could be more big lies coming our way, maybe bigger than ever with Jupiter there, because Jupiter expands everything it touches. So we'll have to look out for that. But I think, you know, we are not, you know, we've got to come to that realization now that we're not fated to be at war with one another. We're not fated to, you know, contrary to what the media would have us believe, mainstream media, you know, we've got to kind of dismantle these lies now and not have this divided society of, you know, who's done this and who hasn't done this. And I mean, you know, if you look back over last year, it's just been awful what's happened, you know, in all societies, families who've clashed and aren't speaking to each other, and terrible things have happened. But now maybe this is the time that we can really, you know, really work on this now and get rid of this idea. And we don't have to be against each other. We can actually work together and take more care of ourselves and each other, and use these kind of conversations. We can heal the wounds and also reevaluate how we spend our time. And I think that's been one of the positives that came out of all these lockdowns. I think everybody had quite a lot of time, or had time to reevaluate what they were doing. And now we can look to redirect our energies different things, to support programs, help people. Quite a few of us here go to the Stand in the Park meetings and support and help each other, and really, you know, look people who are most in need that we can do things for, and even if it's just an encouraging word of support, that we can help that. And I think with Pisces as well, we're looking at healing on a grand scale, really, with Jupiter there, expanding all these wonderful healing modalities, of which we've got several here, you know, that we can really start to work on these therapies can become, I think there's going to be an explosion of creative arts, healing through music. Pisces is very much connected with music, with sound healing, and all sorts of, yeah, these different therapies that we've heard about this evening. I think there will be an intensified focus on all kinds of spirituality, magic, channeling, psychic phenomena, all of these, and enhancing this kind of community that we can all come together and work as one there, you know. And just again, we have to be aware of this downside here, of this kind of escapism that is in Pisces. And the thing that I was reading, and we all know about, this virtual reality, this virtual existence that's kind of growing now, with this meta stuff and all this other things on Facebook, and you know, that people can actually be guided to live in this virtual reality system, and that is so Piscean and Jupiter there. So I think that's something we've really got to all guard against, and some people are just being drawn into that, maybe because, you know, it's just easier to go that way, or they haven't quite found themselves as to what they want to do. But so from the astrology, I don't know if you want to say anything about the numerology yet, or shall I just carry on? I'll just keep on with the main kind of movements this year. So the Jupiter and Neptune will come together on April the 22nd, so they'll be exact there in Pisces. And I think that'll be quite a powerful portal of energy there that, you know, could, I mean, something might around that week, around those days, I think that's a really powerful energy time. And although the escalating tension of Saturn, and which is square the planet Uranus, which is again the great awakener, these planets are kind of in a really challenging aspect for most of the year. So there'll always be this kind of fight of authority wanting to clamp down, and we're wanting to be free. So I think, you know, there will be all radical things from all sides, you know, and I think we'll see this kind of shadow side of capitalism, which we know, we hope, is coming to an end at some point now, because so many people are just excluded from having a normal life, and how we can, and ourselves, kind of recognize that we can live in abundance, and they, you know, we can all pull together and help each other. And I think that's such an important thing to kind of know that that is possible. Pisces is a water sign, and having Neptune and Jupiter there, I think, you know, we can expect themes around water. And as I was writing this, I thought, oh yes, there could be water events, and had literally written it. And of course, we've just had this big volcanic explosion in Tonga, which is quite horrendous. So we can hope there won't be any more. But I think the theme of water will be in, you know, maybe climate things, extremes of climates and earthquakes, volcanoes. But I think the actual water, the shortages of water, will become more and more apparent over the next year or so, and how we can maybe conserve water, and you know, those places that, you know, have problems in that direction. So we have to look at that as well, and how we can conserve our resources. Jupiter moves quite quickly through Pisces. It's already been in Pisces last year and then went back out, and it will actually enter Aries on May the 10th. So that kind of is a very different feel, because It's a fire sign. Aries wants to do things. It wants to be pioneering, initiating. So maybe some of the things that we've managed to understand and use our planning and insight, we might be able to make radical changes by then and work with those energies. And then I noticed in May, the 25th of May, Mars, the warrior planet, goes into Aries, is in Aries, and will join Jupiter. So that could be very volatile around that time. I think we will have to be a little bit, and look, I had a quick look at the chart around the end of May this year, and I think there could be financial things could be implicated there. There might be changes in finances. And I think anyway, it's a good time now. Looking at today's chart as well, and the chart at the beginning of the year, Venus is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, and retrograde usually means a review is due. So I think it would be wise for people to review their finances, have a look and see if they're happy with their decisions. Maybe if you've got all your money in one place, it might not be the best place, you know, maybe have a bit of help to spread it around a bit, because we just don't know what's coming. I mean, you know, there's a massive change coming in America, which I'll talk about in a minute, and there might be a necessity to safeguard our money and our finances. But also Venus, apart from ruling money and finances, is about values and what we value and what we value most. And so I think we've probably all had a good look at our values over the last year or so, and you know, that might come even stronger now as we look at that. One of the biggest really important movements is the USA has what is known as its Pluto return. Now, Pluto takes 248 years to go right round the zodiac. So the USA, born on the 4th of July 1776, had its Pluto at 27 degrees of Capricorn, and that will now, on the 22nd of February this year, 2022, it will return. So again, 22nd of the 2nd, 2022. Alan will talk a bit more about that.
It's a big day. It's all the tools. It's a
big
very emotional day.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing that happened in 1776 that's coming to the end of this Pluto cycle, and that was that Adam Smith wrote the Wealth of Nations, and that was the big idea in that book was capitalism. So we'll see what happens to capitalism. It may have already died, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's just being propped up, but that's another story.
But whatever happens, it's going to be a cosmic rebirth of some sort. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be on that day, but that is the actual exactitude. But it could already be, with these planets that move so slowly, you know, you could be talking. In fact, some astrologers think that this started to kick in 2008 when Pluto moved into Capricorn and we had the financial crash. So that could have been the start of an idea of what's to come, maybe. We'll see. But whatever happens, I think America is in for a rocky ride. There'll be kind of deep revelations coming up. Pluto's about hidden secrets. And there's
Plutocrats, it lends its name to Plutocrats, so there'll be an evaluation of you know, sort of trillionaires and whether the dollar stays as the world's second currency or not. All these things will be up in the air for a while.
Yeah, I think so. So everything that affects Capricorn, Pluto, laws, leaders, governments, finances, as we've said, and you know, probably some kind of social unrest, and it's almost as if you can feel it's kind of going that way. So that's something to look out for. And of course, Pluto's coming now to the end of its stay in Capricorn, and in March 2023 it will move into Aquarius. So that's just a complete different, you know, we talk about the age of Aquarius, and we hope that that will bring positive things, humanitarian things, liberation. Yeah, we must hope, but of course the downside is that it could be even stricter authoritarianism, couldn't it?
There'll be a clash, won't there?
There will be a
Of-
clash,
of the
definitely.
ages.
Yeah. But whatever, it's endings, beginnings, planting new seeds for the future. And, we'll just have to maybe, most countries and certainly America will have to revisit its past, the shadow side, all the things that have gone before. And we'll have to see how that works out. So all in all, interesting. So there's always these two sides. I thought it's amazing. I think most of you probably know that it's the full moon today. We've got tonight, just before midnight, the moon is full, and it's quite an amazing moon. I don't know if you saw it in the night. And but it's the moon is in Cancer and the sun is in Capricorn, so they're exactly opposite. And again, the moon is connected with the number 2, which I will mention in a minute. And it's quite an emotional time. I think a lot of people have felt quite emotional, and the sign of Cancer is all about the past and the family. And so, yeah, Suzanne's saying it's fully out. Yes, beautiful. So on an emotional level, I think, people might be feeling a bit rattled around this time, to say the least. Mercury is retrograde now. It's a couple of days into the retrograde phase. People are often a bit fearful of retrogrades and think, oh, it's terrible, we can't do anything and everything goes wrong. But I think it's not necessarily about being afraid of it. It is about preparing. And because Venus is also retrograde at the moment, so your values, your finances haven't, and Mercury rules communication and thinking and thought and travel. So it really means, retrograde means reviewing, reassessing, all of those kind of things, taking time out, not rushing into things. And so it's quite important to kind of look into that. We've also got 4 eclipses this year, 2 solar eclipses and 2 lunar eclipses, and these just show the moon to be even more powerful than they are. And they're both, the 2 solar, we've got the solar eclipse in Taurus and the next one is in Scorpio, and the lunar one is Scorpio in Taurus. So again, we've got this financial theme with all of the eclipses going on. So I think, that there's definitely going to be things happening in that department. So I think it's probably wise to check out. Also, I can give you the dates quickly of the eclipses. So April the 30th, the solar eclipse is in Taurus. The lunar eclipse is on May the 16th in Scorpio. And the next solar eclipse is in October on the 25th in Scorpio. And the lunar eclipse is November the 8th in Taurus. So they're all on this axis. And it's also that, there's just a lot of pointers that are moving us in that direction of reevaluation, looking at our lives, looking at everything on a different scale, and we've been prompted to do that with the pandemic because everything has changed forever, and some things for the better, I think. So I think we'll move into the numbers now, and we can always have some questions afterwards.
Okay. So 2022 in numbers, to analyse it, we look at each number individually. There's only 2 numbers we're looking at. There's 3 2s and a 0. And then we total them up, add them together, and it comes to 6. So the numbers that we're looking at, the background vibration to the year is 6, which is a Venus number. So it ties in with Venus rules Taurus, it rules Libra. It's about values, it's about justice, social justice. Libra's about wisdom as well, applying wisdom in our individual life and collectively. And 2s are about the moon, and the emphasis there is with 3 2s. And the moon's about the emotions, the emotional body. It's about psychic development, spirituality. It's associated with magic. It's used for timing events in astrology and magic. The moon's got 2 sides to it, a bright side and the dark side. The bright side's Diana, the dark side's Hecate. The waxing moon is about creativity, and the waning moon is about endings and destruction. One of the things I'd like you to do is, if you've got a pencil handy, is to draw. There's a lot of symbolism in the numbers, and it's sometimes good just to draw them out because you focus then on them. They're not so abstract. If you draw number 2 from the right to the left as the horizontal line, because you're drawing the horizon, the Earth, and then you draw a crescent moon from the left side. So what you've got is the crescent moon touching the horizon, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, the Earth sign. So the moon, number 6 and number 2 resonate together. So the moon and Venus work closely together. They're both yin energy, they're both receptive, and they both reflect back our feelings. So the moon is a reflector of your feelings and emotions. So what you put out, remember what phase of the moon is. When you're wanting to create your reality, send it out. There's different techniques, we won't go into them. On a waxing moon, and the aspects of yourself, the bad habits, the behaviors that you don't like, that don't fit in, work on them on a waning moon, and they'll just dissipate. So Venus, the moon was in service. When the magicians talk about their art, the moon was in service to Venus, because Venus is about the desired. So what is desired is to do with Venus. So Venus rules Taurus, and Taurus is about having things. It's about acquiring things. It's associated with love and money, because they're the two of the most things that people most desire. So that's how the number 2 works. And if you draw number 6, which is the Venus number, just focus on and draw it. If you've got a piece of pen, paper handy, and then turn it upside down. So then you've got 9. So number 6 is Venus and number 9 is Mars. So Venus is always working in polarity. They complement each other. So the creative aspect is Venusian, and then the creative destruction part is Mars. And when you put them together, the 6 and the 9, stylistically, you're creating the moon's sign of Cancer. So they're all interwoven, and the astrology of the year is showing that. So Venus is about love, money, beauty, harmony, what we value, what we want. And Libra is about wisdom and justice, and creating harmony and balance in our life. So it's not just in our life, but it's in relationships as well. With the emphasis on 3 tools, that makes for a particularly emotional year. So people will be feeling particularly sensitive, which is not necessarily a good thing if they're not in control of their emotions. So the working together with the 6 vibration, we can kind of balance and be self-reflective and balance our emotional reactions. So it's important to control our emotions and not get washed along, because there's going to be some big events, some big emotional events. Christine's talked about a few there, where we can get knocked off our course, and it's important that we all are aware of our sole purpose and try and stick to that. So the emphasis on tools, it's a great year for spiritual studies, increasing knowledge, awareness of subtle energies. That can be, whatever way you look at it, that can be earth energies, ley lines, working with elementals, ETs, great for meditation. And it's but the essence of 6 is about truth. So what we're looking for is finding our inner truth, what we've incarnated for. And are we doing all we can to fulfill that sole purpose? It's about coming to terms with the facts in our own life. Are we being honest with ourselves? Are we doing all we can to follow our sole purpose? And the things that we aren't doing, that we should be doing, we can use those energies of the moon to help us achieve them. We've touched on the decades. So we're in this 2020 decade, and everything changed then. There is, on a collective level, we're all affected to some degree by the energy of the decade. So we had Brexit, we had the first lockdown, 23rd of the 3rd, 2020. We had the second lockdown, another important day, the gunpowder plot, when there was a clampdown on individuality. And then the first jabs, which entered the collective consciousness. That was the 8th of the 12th, 2020. That was another Venus day, another 6th day. And if you recall, it took place in Coventry. Now, when you look at the word Coventry, you'll split it down, Coven and Try. There was the first man jabbed was William Shakespeare, Margaret Keenan. It was on the Bolinas ley line. If anybody's into ley lines, the power of the place we have to be aware of. And there's a saying as well that people were sent to Coventry. Now that saying comes from the Civil War, the 1640s. And when royalists were captured, they were sent to Coventry because nobody would speak to them there, they'd be isolated. So, and on that day, Saturn, which is associated with fear and anxiety and crisis, was in the final degree of Capricorn. So the tone of the decade was anxiety being projected into the collective consciousness. So this year, 2022, we can all really connect with the subconscious because the moon rules the subconscious, and we can examine ourselves to see to what degree we're affected by that. And we can start to break the spell that was cast in Coventry. There's a lot more to Coventry than meets the eye, why it was chosen at that time. So there's a couple of dates that you might want to think about in this decade. According to the I Ching, there's a massive spiritual leap expected in 2027 for humanity. So it's all to do with the alignment of the Earth in the photon band, aligning with the Pleiades and Sirius and the galactic sun. You'll know that the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. Some speculate that it restarts in 2027 on a higher spiral of consciousness. So we're in the interim phase where people are waking up, and those in authority want to keep in authority are quite aware of that. And some of the dates that were chose in 2020 to do these things will make it more difficult for people to realize the truth of the divine aspect. But it can't be stopped. 2027 will come along and there'll be a massive awakening. Anyway, hopefully people won't have been mind controlled by then. And this is a pivotal year, really. So it's a year where we can all wake up to our divine potential and start to manifest it. One date to bear in mind, which ties in with Pluto and doing the Pluto return to where it was in 1776, is the 22nd of February 2022. So they're all twos. It's an emotionally powerful date, and then we've got this Pluto shift. On that date, the moon will be in Scorpio, Mars will be conjunct Venus in Capricorn. So there's a massive coming together. So with awareness, self-awareness, we can all project the reality that we want into the collective consciousness and raise the vibration. Yeah, I think that's the numbers.
Yeah. And that's, I think, so important if you know some of these things, to use them in a positive way, that we can, either through meditation or collectively getting together and working on that and sending out the positive energy.
Because it's not just us who know this information.
No.
Those in control also know that. So there will be a pushback on the other side who want to impose fear and anxiety. So it's just to be aware of that and to counter it. And once you're aware, you can't be affected by it. You know, it won't affect your subconscious in any way.
Yeah. Has anybody got any questions for us?
Thank you, Christine and Alan. That's fascinating. I've written 5 pages of notes because I always like to write notes, but there's so much and it's so useful. And numbers just fascinate me.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I didn't mention, sorry, Karen, is to find out your own number really, because if you're rolling numbers of 2 or a 6, you're going to be more affected than other people. So you're going to feel the if you're number 2, rolling number 2, you're going to feel the emotional impact greater than most people. So as an exercise, it's good to work out where you are and where you are in your 9-year spiritual development cycle. So we're all subject to our own this wheels within wheels. We've all got our own individual cycle, but then there's a decade cycle for the collective, and there's a grand cycle for human consciousness to move into the new age that's on the doorstep. And there's been a big change. I think they talk about 2027 because the children who have been born since 2000, very few of them have a 1 in their birth date. Obviously in the 1900s, everybody had 1. And 1's about being an individual. It's about ego. So this new generation are going to be more fragile, but they're more spiritual, but more gullible.
Don't they call them the snowflakes?
Yeah.
Some of them do.
So they're easier. They need more nurturing, really. They need nurturing and protecting. It's not a weakness what they've got; it's a strength. But I read something the other day at the weekend. There's some company not going to employ any more snowflakes. You know, they just can't take the stress of the job. But spiritually, these are and by 2027, they'll be coming to their Saturn return. So they'll be maturing and they'll be making an impact in the world. You know, they'll be taking up responsible positions and they'll be changing things. And any child that's born on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, is going to be some kind of guru, you know, for the new age, provided they can be nurtured and protected from all the what's going on.
I wonder whether this will change industry to a degree if we get all these very spiritual star seeds coming through, whether this will change capitalism and it'll change it completely because they're different type of people.
Yeah, I think capitalism has gone. You know, I think what we've got now is it's some substitute. It's being propped up by money printing, and I think they are talking at Davos about a great reset. So they know it's ended, but you know, it's philanthrocapitalism where you print money and you give it to your mates. That's the kind of thing we've got. It's not a proper system, and it's all fiat money, and it's not based on anything tangible and valuable. And we are in this, we've talked about the Venus phase. This is a Venus year where people will realise that that fiat money is not really worth anything. It's just a promise based on. So I think the multi-billionaires are buying land, aren't they?
Yes.
And turning their money into farmland or woodland or gold or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is an issue.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone got you want to ask something?
Kara's got a question.
Kara, okay.
Hi, I just wanted to ask about when you were talking about the numbers 2 and 6. How do you find your number? How do you?
Okay. You can go on our website and have a look on the numerology page, and it's yourguidinglight.org. You could look at it. We explain it on there. But quickly, what you do is you add all the numbers up in your birthday and reduce them to a single digit, unless the numbers are 10, 11, or 22. So if you go onto our website, you'll see, say your number's 22, there'll be a little description about what that means. If it's 6, it's to do with Venus, and you will resonate with this year in particular because of the frequency of 2022 equaling 6. So so that's how you would do it. And it will also tell you how to find out where you are in your 9-year cycle. So if you're 9 years, if you're in the year 6 in your 9-year cycle, you really resonate with what's going on this year. So it's a greater impact for you as an individual. I didn't want to talk about it in the talk because it's take too long to explain that. But you can go on the website and find it out.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect, thank you.
Suzanne's put that on there. That's 2 + 7 + 0 + 3 + 1 + 9 + 6 + 9. Yeah, that's your one.
Disappeared.
Actually, I've forgotten to put my 03 in there. 27th of the 3rd.
Oh, you did put it there, didn't you?
Did you put it in?
Oh yeah, I have, but I haven't put it in the broken down numbers. I forgot to put
right.
0 and 3. So yeah, basically you'd add, I'm a 1, I think.
You can't be a 1 in the Pythagoras system. You would be. So Pythagoras, in his system, he did 1 was the divine because every number is divisible by 1. So he reckoned that 1 is the sun and it's divine. So you'd be 10, yeah. So you're a ruling number 10.
Okay.
So that's 1 is spirit and 0 is the earth. It's the void. It's potential. So you can make a success of anything you put your heart and soul into. So you can bring heaven and earth together. So
I'll take that.
your genius. That's your genius.
Thank you. And in the other system, I'm a 1, yes.
Well, the Chaldeans do things differently, but that's another story.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is the rules that Pythagoras set. Yeah, he didn't acknowledge a 1, so you would be a 10. It's even better 10 really because you've got heaven and earth coming together.
Okay. I like that a lot. Sorry, everyone, butting in.
Good. Who's that? Kim Wong, she says she's a 7.
Well, 7's about Neptune, and that is really that's spiritual. That's sort of on the tree of life. That's Kether. It's the crowning glory on the tree of life. So there's no wonder you're involved in spiritual disciplines.
There's Tara, she's a 6. Oh,
well, there you go. Venusian, yeah, 6. It's your year. It's a big year.
It's
creative, yeah.
It's moving so quick. 1 + 1.
Base is 7.
Yeah.
I looked at it.
10, do you?
You just go 1, 2. It's gone off now. Anyway,
yeah, Sue's a 5.
There
That's
we
right. I
go.
remember that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, as you know, I love numbers. And with the 22nd of February 22, I've noticed it's a palindrome, which that means going one way And then if you look at it the other way, it's also the same. So if you write it down, basically you'll see, so 22nd, 2202, 2022. You've got the 22nd of the 2nd going backwards,
Yeah.
2022. And I just wondered if you knew there was any significance with that.
Well, it's a massive day. Yeah, I mean, it's like just an unbelievable day, that. Anybody born on that day is going to have a very, very difficult life. But, you know, so did Jesus. It's like that kind of level. It's like, you know, this is quite extreme. Yeah, so it's very psychic. All the tools are about having soul qualities, you know, and expressing soul qualities. Psychic, very spiritual, very connected to the astral. Yeah, a big day. But it's obviously a big day because the moon, it's about the moon. There's two sides to the moon, as I mentioned. There's the bright side and the dark side. And obviously, we want to work and be creative and use the dark side for getting rid of things in our own life that are not working for us, that are diverting us from our sole purpose. But children who are going to be born then have sorted all that out. They're seeding the new age, really.
Anyone else want to ask a question? Maxine, did you have your hand up? Yeah, go for it.
Can I ask about the finances? So you talk about, you know, not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. What kind of options do you recommend?
Well, we're not financial advisors, so I won't want to advise you on what to do with your money. Just think about it.
Off the record, what do you
Off the record.
Stop the recording.
Yeah, what are you doing, basically?
If our financial advisor was here, he'd say, get it out the bank as soon as
Don't
you
leave
can.
too much in the bank, because there could well be bail-ins, which they've tried in other countries, whereby if you have more money in the bank than a certain amount, the government will help themselves to it.
Oh, wow.
But then where do you put it? Under the mattress?
Yeah,
under
some
the
of
mattress.
it.
I mean, for 5,000 years, the most reliable store of value has been gold. And for the peasants, it's been silver. So I expect that to continue to be the case for a little while yet. Yeah, so...
How do you buy gold? I mean, apart from buying necklaces.
You can buy it from the Royal Mint. I believe they mint it.
Okay, thank you.
There's quite a few reliable sources for it. Bullion by post.
Bullion by post.
Yeah,
that's what I've used.
We buy ours.
They're very reliable. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you buy more than, I think it's £2,000, then they're obliged to tell Their Majesty's inspectors. So then
beware.
Always buy a bit less than that.
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, obviously people have got different ideas, but things have changed financially over the last few years. And we looked astrologically at when Uranus went into Taurus. Uranus is the awakener, the game changer, and Taurus is about money, values. So that was kind of that cryptocurrencies really came into the fore there, that everybody was talking about Bitcoin or this coin or cryptos and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of people look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And I think they're here to stay. I think cryptocurrencies are here to stay now with this Uranian thing. Digital money is going to be around, and governments are going to want you to have their money.
Yeah.
So there'll be a Bitcoin as well as a Bitcoin. You know, so it's just do your research.
Yeah.
Everything's changing. It's in flux, and the capitalist system is going to change radically over the next 5 or 6 years. I mean, what are the rich people doing? Bill Gates is buying as much farmland as he possibly can buy. So that tells you something. I mean, he might want to just use Monsanto seeds. I don't know. It might just be a different financial play. I don't know.
Well, they own Asda now, don't they? Walmart and Monsanto. So it's there's that straight line straight to that.
Exactly.
Watch out for Asda. I was going to ask you as well, it's been nearly 100 years since, like, I don't know, 1923, hyperinflation in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there's any significance with that as well. Is that something that is coming up? Yeah.
Yeah, you are, because the astrology is very similar to 1929. And the last decade, that, you know, if we looked at 2020 and we look at the theme of the decade, the last decade that added up to 4 with 2020 was 1930.
Yeah.
So 1 9 plus 3 is whatever, 13 equals 4. So the 1930s, numerology wise, resonates with the 2020s. And I think the stock market crashed in October 1929, and then there was it went into decline for 3 years, and I think they confiscated all the gold in America in 1933, and then we had the big lie that surfaced in Germany, well, Austria, I think, was it Austria or Germany? So there is, what did Mark Twain say? History never repeats, but it does rhyme. And I think we're going to see the 2020s rhyming with the 1930s.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Maybe not. Good to know, though.
Anyone else got questions?
Just talking about the money for a minute. Somebody I was talking to at the weekend, you can actually get a card to go with some of the crypto now, and a lot of places take the card. She's been able to buy food. And
is that just Bitcoin?
I don't think it was Bitcoin. There's another one, I can't remember what it was called, but she's actually got a actual card, like you have a bank card, that she's been able to spend in most places.
Yeah.
Aware of that, Christine and Alan?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah. I mean, I think, as you say, but crypto's here to stay. I mean, they're trying to destroy it and get rid of it, but they probably won't.
I think it might. I mean, the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, it might be a day when, you know, Bitcoin crashes. You know, you could expect an emotional wave like that. So I'd be very cautious. But you know, talking about 5 years' time, then you'd think that it will survive and thrive. But in the short term, obviously, it's going to be on a roller coaster.
Get your money out on the 21st and put it back.
Yeah, put it back in March when you got a bit of Jupiter energy to.
Yeah. I have to tell my 18-year-old son's been having a bit of a dabble. He's doing all right, actually.
Yeah.
But of course, that could completely go. Yeah. Valerie?
Yeah, I had a question. Do you do like specific readings, for example, if you're starting like a new business, or because I'm working on my website right now, and I want to launch it out on a specific date, which I've not decided yet. Private specific readings to decide based on my cycle and everything. Would be to launch this business.
Yes, you'd look when, you know, what to find a favorable date and time for the specific enterprise that you had. You know, I mean, if someone's got say a wedding company, you'd need Venus in a really good position, the moon and so on. Maybe if it was more to do, well, it'd be to do with your coaching and healing work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you'd look at the
contract
the soul contract. So you'd want Mercury. You wouldn't do it now with Mercury retrograde. You'd kind of hang on for a few weeks until that goes direct. I mean, that is something that is usually not a good idea unless you have to start something on the retrograde Mercury. You know, you want a kind of better forward energy. Same with the moons. You know, you wouldn't do something like that on a dark moon necessarily. You know, you'd wait for the new moon energies.
Yeah, and if you've got a choice of doing it in a place, you can look at your astrocartography, because very often the energy of a place is significant, you know, depending on what what you're doing, and yeah, so ley lines and things like that come into it too.
We'll speak again soon then.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Do you do following on from that? Do you do a kind of combo reading between the two of you?
Yes, funnily enough, we had a few to do of those last year. So I usually do the astrology, and then Alan does the astrocartography and the numerology. So yeah, we have been doing that. Yeah, for people who through all of this upheaval, who've decided they want a new life, and moving to different places, and yeah, so
That's brilliant, having the two of you together to be able to kind of chew it over and have a look at it from both perspectives, and end up, I guess, with a lot of the same information from a slightly different perspective. Yeah, fascinating.
And the astrocartography, I listened to one of your talks, because for those who don't know, Alan and Christine run talks as well, and there was one on astrocartography, wasn't there? And that is fascinating stuff. And I remember there being a lady on there who'd moved to the Isle of Wight, not knowing that the Isle of Wight was actually perfect for her astrocartography, and she felt great there.
Yeah, we got a message from her the other day, Karen. She said how fantastic life's been. They made loads of friends. Everything's going great, and they love it.
Yeah.
And so because I mean, for anybody who doesn't know astrocartography, you've not only got a horoscope in the sky, you've got as above, so below. You've got a horoscope on the ground. So if the places, I mean, this particular couple wanted to sort of have a holiday type, relaxed, retired, semi-retired, and so the Venus line is a great place for that kind of way of life. And so as it turned out, both the couples charts had Venus going through one particular place on the Isle of Wight, and they actually moved there.
Yeah, they've done.
They both love it.
Yeah, so it was amazing.
Yeah.
Did they move there off the back of listening to you, or just
No, they were in two minds that it was such a big move, because they're up in Leeds, really, up in Yorkshire, and it was a big move for them, but they enjoyed the holidays there.
Wow, okay.
And of all the places,
they kept being drawn back, didn't they? They couldn't understand why. They looked at houses everywhere, and it was just, we want to be there, and it's quite, it's
they couldn't understand it, and they didn't know.
From here, isn't it? And
so it was a big commitment. So they thought, well, we'll just ask, ask
out of interest to see
what he thinks.
Amazing, that's amazing. Oh, I want to have a reading of everything now. Anyone else got any questions? I'm sure there are probably plenty more, or if you don't want to speak out loud, type it in the box.
So with the astrocartography, out of interest, because I watched that one, but I didn't really, is that also about when you're born and all?
It's basically your horoscope is projected onto the ground. So wherever the sun is in the sky at that moment, so where you're born is the center of your horoscope, and everything's projected out from there. So you can draw lines around the globe. So I've done charts like that for footballers. Like, they need to be on a Mars line, because Mars is about competition, it's being assertive and all that sort of stuff. And footballers who are on a Saturn line, have a terrible time.
I think you did David Beckham, didn't you?
I did David Beckham, and all his successes were on his Mars line through Manchester, Los Angeles, Paris, Milan. And he had 4 terrible years in Real Madrid, and that was on his Saturn line. He fell out with the manager, he was isolated, he had to train on his own. But he went there for the money. He made a lot of money, 100 million or whatever, but he was miserable. But anyway.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And does this chart tells you where is it that is the best place for you to live in the world?
It depends what you want to do. Yes. At what stage you are in your life. If you want it to shine, then being on your sun line is good, where people notice you and all that kind of thing. Okay. The moon line is more, people won't notice you, but it'd be nice to make a home and all that sort of stuff. So it just depends. For business, it might be Mercury, communication.
For a relationship, it would be Venus. Be drawn to. a Venus line.
But if you're intuitive and you follow your heart, you'll end up in the right place anyway. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice to just have a confirmation that, oh yeah, that's great, you know.
We just have 5 houses for all sorts of different things. Be nice.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah.
When those trillionaires start filtering the money back to us,
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be
we'll
nice.
be
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There's
I've got a
always-
question.
Sorry, who's got a question?
I've got a question. What if you don't know what time you were born? Because I know that a lot of the times with astrology readings, you have to know the time you were born. But what if you don't know what time you were born? Can you still?
It's much harder. The more accurate the time, then the better for astrocartography. For the other charts, it's not so crucial. But for the astrocartography, because it affects the Mercury line and the moon line so considerably, because obviously depends how far away from your birthplace you're looking at, because the further away from your birthplace, the greater the error factor is if the time is out. But if you're looking at an area within 50 miles, it's not critical. Obviously, it just depends. It's hard to say yes or no, but the more accurate the time, the better. Yeah. So if you're born in Australia and you're 1 hour out and you're looking at a place in England, it'd be pointless, because the angle by the time it gets across to England will be, it could be
living in the sea.
hundreds of miles out. Yeah. Yeah.
I think, Kim, actually, because obviously you are in Australia, you weren't too sure on your actual birth time. Is it you in the body and the human design? Yeah. So if you come into the UK, you look at all the other stuff.
Anyone got any more questions for Christine or Alan?
Okay.
Well, okay, fabulous. Well, thank you very much, Christine and Alan. That's really so interesting. I think we all gained an awful lot from that, and a lot of inspiration and positive vibes for 2022.
Yes,
absolutely.
Great,
Truth, trust.
I've written all the dates down that you've said, so
Make you accountable.
just be aware of them.
Yeah, that's great to have some signposts anyway, guys. That's
it is. It does help.
Could you're in our Telegram group, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So could you pop your details in the Telegram group?
We'll put the website on there.
Yep. For the next week, it will be your space to share stuff that you're doing and stuff like that. For those people who aren't familiar with our running of our group, I think you're probably all in the Telegram group. If you're not, then we can sort that out. Is we have a speaker on, and then they get to share their stuff for that week, and then the following week we start then advertising the person that's coming up. It's the Mondays every other week, so we have yet to put some dates in with some other people yet, so we'll put that up in the group.
Yeah.
Once Christine and Alan have had their moment and their time to shine.
If anyone wants
the sunline moment.
If anyone wants to be in the Telegram group, either contact me or Suzanne, and we can put you in however we're connected to you.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you all for your nice comments. Just reading down the side here. That's great.
Yeah, it's been lovely. And if you've got anything else to share with your other groups, Christine, then do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do
as well if you'd like to. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you everybody for coming. If you've got any like-minded friends you think would be enjoy the group, then let us know. They're very welcome to join in with us as well. So thank you all for coming.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Suzanne, for organising it. And thank you for attending, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Recording.